Last year he was in a tough spot because he was dropping more than he was rushing. He did a great job of doing it. Got his first pick in Detroit. But from the standpoint of him rushing more, yeah, you know, that's what he is. He's that guy who can come off the edge and you know, beat tackles in a one-on-one situation, and that's what he's been doing. You know, we gamed him up a couple of times, but for the most part, that's what he's consistently pass rushing against tackles and beating.
You're headed third time this season already against a mobile quarterback prior to Kaepernick now. Wilson, do you feel like, obviously each one does things differently, do you feel like your guys are more prepared for that type of quarterback?
I think so. You know, I think with everyone's different, of course. You know, with Pryor, he was more of a scrambling guy and then looking for the guy that was open, and then Collins a little bit the same, but you know, the better arm maybe a little bit, and then even Russell Wilson, you know, he has the attributes of both of those guys with a good arm. He can make all the throws. You know, it's just, you know, trying to corral him and trying to get him down is the biggest thing. But you know, he keeps his eyes upfield and he sees the field. You know, he feels the rush. He has a good feel for it, just like a back does. And you know, that's what he does. He feels it, and then he delivers the ball where he has to. It's pretty good.
Sorry. How much of his big runs, or how many of his big runs, generally speaking, have come on called runs? I mean, have most of them been him originally being in the pocket, and then when things break down, he gets
you know, he's a pocket passer.
Yeah.
You know, I really do think that. You know, he sits in there and delivers those passes to the receivers. He knows where he's going with the ball. But you know, some of them are, you know, called where it's off the read option and him running it based upon what he sees. But you know, he's a productive player on third down because he can scramble. You know, and that's always the hard part. You got to weigh both options, you know, from coverage to going after him, or you know, vice versa. So he does a good job. He's been doing that last year and this year. So
from a coordinator standpoint, how tough is this planning for these type of quarterbacks? I mean, or are you getting more comfortable since it is the third time in just 5 weeks you're going against a mobile quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Those mobile guys that have a good arm, it's tough because you know, you want to play coverage on the back end, but you also want to get after them and get them out of the pocket. You know, you're trying to do the best you can, and you got to weigh what's the best option. Is it to go after them with a 3-man rush? Is it to go after them with a 5-man, 6-man rush? You know, so each week it's always going to change. But from his standpoint, he's a quality quarterback in this league. He's only getting better, and he's got some weapons around him that he can throw the ball.
How much do you have to remind your quarterback, I mean not quarterback, cornerbacks, not to be looking in the backfield because he has that ability to be able to pass on the run and get the find a receiver?
Well, that's what he can extend the play, just like the majority of the players that are scrambling quarterbacks. Especially with him, you know, his eyes are always upfield looking at the receivers. So it is must for us, just the last couple of weeks when we play them, is that you've got to plaster against these guys, and you got to make sure you stay with them. You know, it might take 10 seconds, it might take 15 seconds, who knows? There's a couple of plays from even last year, him scrambling. You know, it takes a long time, but you got to cover your guy, and you got to stay with him for 15 seconds. It has to be that. So it is difficult. It is tough.
Tell us about Monte. He seems like he's been playing at a really high level. I mean, has he steadily improved, or is this just kind of who he's always been?
I think he's focused a little bit more this year, you know, and we always talk about technique and fundamentals, and it always comes down to that. Some guys during games sometimes revert back, you know, to what they do because it's not working, but you got to keep on teaching that and keep on pressing that with him, and he has been. You know, it's always great when you make a play early in the game too. It feels like you're invincible. You know, you pick up a fumble, you pick one off, you know, you get a sack, and you just feel good about yourself, and then it kind of rolls from there. And I think that's what happened last week, and it continues to roll this week, hopefully.
What makes Marshawn Lynch such a tough player to stop?
Oh yeah, I mean, a good back, good sight lines. I think majority than anything that the guy can feel it and he can see it. You know, he takes his steps, and then once he feels it, he sees the cut back or taking it to the edge. A good, strong running runner that can break tackles. He did that last week, I think it was, maybe 2 weeks ago. It was last week. But you know, skilled, talented. We got to make sure that we get after him, keep on getting after him, because he can extend the play as well.
Is there a quarterback of your playing days in the league that Russell Wilson reminds you of, the way he can buy time in the pocket by scrambling around and finding guys downfield?
I didn't play with Fran Tarkenton, but you know, I remember seeing tape, you know, growing up and watching him. I was in third grade or whatever it was. But no, but I remember Fran Tarkenton, and he was very similar to that. You know, running around the way he did was very similar. You know, he has, and Fran did the same thing. He kept his eyes upfield, and you know, he saw the rush, feeling it, and once it dissipated, he rolled out of there and got out of there. Very similar to what he does.